Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Sophisticated Immaturity. I'm your host, Kenneth, and I'm joined by the co host, Asha. Nice to have you all here today. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Thank you all for joining us. If you're joining us live or you're watching this video after it is produced, we thank you for stopping by. Today, we're just basically going to watch some videos and do some commentary on what we think about the topics that are going to be brought up. So let's start off with the first video. Share. Let's see if you can hear the video there on your end. Let me make sure the volume's on.
That way. Like if the truth got men laid, the world would look so much better than it currently does. Like, can you imagine? Like, women actually do have the power to remake the world indirectly by choosing which men to reward with sex and relationships and under what circumstances. And let me tell you, if a woman got better at sussing out the truth from lies, which they're not very good at, because most people aren't very good at that, and just did not have sex with men who lied to them, man, we'd have a much more honest population, like very quickly. But one, women have a hard time differentiating the truth from lies. And two, they often care about other things more. They do. It's like, where would women hang out if they truly valued honesty above all things? Like, I don't know, charities? I don't know. Where do honest men hang out? There's not that many. And women train them that way. Like, if the truth got men laid, the world would look so much better than it currently does. Like, can you imagine? Like, women.
Okay. Unmute yourself. Can you imagine?
What say you? Are women expected to now be walking, talking human lie detectors?
No, not at all.
So
you don't have to. His standpoint is not that women need to be human lie detectors. It's that the behavior that you're rewarding the wrong behavior with sex.
So oftentimes we've established that men will lie for sex, right?
Yes, for sure.
So if all humans, as he pointed out in the video, have a hard time learning the truth about other people, how are we expected to do this? Why are we not encouraging more people to just be honest? You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I get what he's saying as far as rewarding bad people. That happens. We all know that happens. But for the people that don't operate in those spaces and not looking to date people who operate in those spaces, and we're looking for more decent individuals, how do we find them? Where do we find them? Where they at? And how do you go about it? Because I feel like nowadays, even the quote unquote good guys are lying to get what they want. So how does one navigate that realm?
I believe this is difficult because I believe it depends on your goal. Like, you must understand the goal you have. It will be a lot of women that would just not have interactions with men and they would have to be comfortable with the lack of attention that comes with them standing on business.
I think I don't think a lot of people, I don't know. I don't feel like that's an issue because you look at not the millennials, but the generation coming up behind that are very adamant of not wanting to be the traditional wives. They're not looking for those type of relationship dynamics anymore because of knowing the way people are not operating in relationships. They don't want to be a part of it. They're looking at the rate of marriage failing. They're looking at the numbers of women, single mothers increasing. So a lot of people are opting to not have sex. A lot of people are now opting to not build families. So for the people who do, it's just like, again, how do you navigate it? Because you ask the necessary questions. You have people that show actions that quote unquote match those intentions. Now it's not easy to detect a liar. Like if a person is a blatant asshole, that's one thing. Like we know those individuals, the fuck boys of the world who treat women like shit and they don't try to hide it. We know those exist. But then you have the clean cut individuals who are more like, no, I care about you and da 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 da. But actually, it's not. It's still another form of manipulation. It's still another form of trying to get what they want. So when you are operating in those spaces, how do you navigate it? Because unless we're expected to be lie detectors
No,
or pull out the lie detector at the first date or some shit, like
no.
that's what you gotta do. Because how else will we know?
You should don't worry about knowing the issue. You said the answer,
Which
and I'm
is,
not sure if you noticed it. You need to get what you want out of a relationship before he get what he wants.
out of the relationship.
Yes. So if you want to be a wife, then
Mm.
what get what you want first. So that means
You
you
do
will
know
have to.
people don't even, but people don't even date like that now.
I understand, and that's the issue. That's where I said that women will have to deal with
Never
the
have
lack
it.
of attention from standing on business. But there's a, like in his discussion about how women can reshape the world, there's a threshold point where if enough women stand on business to where this is now the MO in the city that you're in, or this is the stance of women in your state, guys are going to have to lead the state or conform to what's going on.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen because nowadays women want to go toe to toe with men as far as how many body counts they can rack up. Like it's, I don't think it'll ever happen.
You don't think it ever happened? I
No,
think
because
that
again, look at, you got the OnlyFans. You don't. There's nobody. There's no more. There's no more shame. So there's no more shame of, oh, I let 3 dudes hit within 24 hours. There was literally a post I think I shared before I deactivated where a woman says she slept with over 1,000 men in 12 hours.
yeah, that in Turkey, a married couple just got arrested for having 100 men. He had 100 men sleep with his wife on OF, and they came and arrested him because OF is illegal in their country.
In that country.
Yeah,
Correct.
so it's like,
They don't play that shit. You're right. And it makes sense because they still have the core values. But here in America, where we're the land of the free, and we give everyone the opportunity to kind of be a free for all and do what they want, there's no repercussions. There's no repercussions for anything outside of killing someone or robbing someone or, the traditional laws being broken. There are no moral laws. There are no moral
no,
things
no.
to keep anything that.
People, I agree. People are more concerned with it being legal than being moral, and
Correct.
and this is the issue where I'm saying everybody's not for everyone. If you have a stance, a morality stance, you just got to come with it from the gate.
I
Like,
will be completely transparent. That probably would not work for somebody in my position because I have a child.
no, I recently created a Facebook post asking for the single women, saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Spirit, you know, that are practicing abstinence and celibacy, to post a picture, let us know where you from. And
Okay.
at the beginning of that Facebook post, I had to delete a lot of the comments because people thought it was a joke.
Wow.
They were like, there are no women that still exist that have this philosophy.
But they do.
They exist,
Right.
but you gotta realize that, I guess it was the way I was when I was growing up. They was like, you are in the world, but not of the world.
Yes.
Yes. So you have a lot of people that believe the secular world is all that exists.
Right.
And to have that moral standpoint of, yeah, I'm not having sex until marriage, or the relationship has to be like solid to a certain level to where, yeah, I'm not going to share that with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're not cut from the same cloth if you got an opposition to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I recently realized that it's probably best that, not from a spiritual standpoint, but a personal maturity standpoint, that it's best for me not to even be intimate with someone and get to know them as a friend first, because the connection you have established in friendship boosts the relationship or intimacy to a higher level that is not attained with you just out here getting notches on your belt.
No, I get that. And it does, because I think the last person I dealt with, you know, we were friends prior to that. And it does make you kind of, you let your guard down a little bit. You don't inquire as much as you would if it was a stranger, because this is somebody, you think, you think you have the same goals or expectations and things like that. And then you realize, like, no, full of shit. So it's very hard navigating the dating world nowadays. And it's to the point where I think a lot of women are getting discouraged. Because and that was one of the topics we had also, with a lot of women just like tapping the fuck out, not wanting to be bothered, and just getting 1,000,001 cats.
This is you had a video about this too. I'm gonna try to find it real quick, where we was talking about how the dating pool.
Oh shit. It's purgatory. That's the new name of it. We're gonna call this purgatory.
Yeah.
That's how I've been describing it to people as of lately.
Okay.
I feel like it's where all of the lost souls are just sitting.
Okay, let me share this tab. Let's go. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
Somebody asks you why you single, show them this video, please. So this is the dating pool. This is what we have. So off the rip, we got to take off the people that are married. And then we have the people that are gay. Binary, non-binary, man, woman, whatever you identify. Then we have the people that are broke. The brokies. We got to get the brokies. We got to get the brokies out, right? Then we have the few people that smoke cigarettes. Okay? Get the cigarette smokers. Get them out of here. Then we have the serial daters, the ones that go on 47 dates and nothing comes from it. We got to get those people out of here. The ones that do or don't want children, depending on whatever it is that you like, you got to get a small portion of those people out there. Then we have the people that are age appropriate. Age appropriate people, we got to get them out of there. And this is what we're left with, right? So now we're talking about people that are attractive, whatever your form of attractiveness is. Those are the people that don't make the cut. Then we got the people that have drama with their ex. Then we have the unhealed people. People that, I got problems, but I don't want to go to therapy.
Oh.
Here are those, right? So then we're left with this. And we gently sprinkle them around the world. That's the dating pool, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions? The next time somebody asks you what you say.
All right.
I'm gonna get my 3 cats, my 2 huskies, and travel the world and live happily ever after. The end.
Right.
It's sad. And then what's the worst part about it is when you talk to your people that are married or in long-term relationships, they just make it more dreadful for you too. So it's like the single people want marriage or want a partner, and then the people that have a partner in marriages or in long-term relationships don't even want to be there. So it's like, is it just a case of you want what you don't have?
That could be the case. Also, you got to realize, like, some people, when they make a commitment, they stick in the commitment regardless if they enjoy the situation
Which is,
or
I
not.
think that's what commitment is. Like, don't
Right.
get me wrong. I think you're supposed to stand 10 toes down and like the book, Marry Him, with being okay with good enough, Mr. Good Enough or whatever. They talk about it. They're like, you keep replacing the person because you're not happy, only to get another person that's gonna have some, like, not the same issues, but they're going to come with issues. Everyone you pick up is going to come with an issue. There's not a single soul walking this earth that you will interact with, that you think you're going to be in a long-term relationship with, that's not going to have something that you probably don't like or that you don't want to deal with. But this is why commitment is important. And I think what's lacking now is the commitment. I think there's a lot of people out here that are dating just to have somebody, that are dating to, I don't know, gets to have a reoccurring person to sleep with, somebody to help them. Like, everybody's dating for different reasons now, but none of them are including the commitment aspect to it. So oftentimes you are dating for long periods of time or dating multiple people at all times, but it never goes into anything that is long. That's long. It never goes into anything that sticks, that stays, that has longevity at all. So
Right.
it's unfortunate, but if you're looking for longevity in this day and age, everybody's microwave.
Yeah, it's I said this, that you have to realize, if you were a restaurant, you have to consider what type of restaurant you are. So if you're McDonald's, fast food, it has a lot of customers, low quality food, but you will have activity. The customers may not be regulars, it may be infrequent, but when if you're hungry enough, you will go to McDonald's.
Correct.
But if you are fine dining, people typically, average American, only go to fine dining places on birthdays, graduations,
Yeah.
anniversaries.
Yeah.
So less frequent. The quality of people are going to be higher. They know they got to dress up. They gotta make a reservation. They gotta plan the dining experience. And when they get there, it's going to be worth their while. So you have to realize, if you are a fine dining establishment, you can't be placed in the hood.
Right.
Because it's like, you don't want to have a fine dining establishment in the hood, because, for one, your customer base isn't there. And then the second reason is because you're in the hood. You may get robbed. You may get stuff. You may get robbed. So it's like, do you really want to be there in the first place? So to me, it's like you're saying about the earth being ghetto. It's like for us dating, for us being in purgatory. Like we're gonna call dating purgatory, for us being in purgatory. A lot of people got to realize they're in the ghetto, but they don't have ghetto qualities, or they don't carry themselves to be ghetto.
Oh my God. I just think, and this is why I feel like that dynamic of women trying to find the right one, I think is just easier for them to do what's happening now, which is finding somebody who has more than enough resources that they can take advantage of. Because I think a lot of that is the mentality now, where it's just like a lot of women now, it's, well, how the fuck can this benefit me? Up until it doesn't benefit me, then it's time to go.
Right. Well, you gotta that each woman will behave, handle the situation differently, because I would say, like with my scenario, if you're a high-end restaurant, you wouldn't be in the ghetto. So what should that restaurant be doing? That
Close
restaurant
shop. Shut the fuck down. Just shut down.
It should shut down. But if they wanted to exist, they would have to move.
I'm trying to move.
I know you moved, but I'm just saying, did you research the area you moved to find that there were people, high-end people?
There ain't a lot of us, but I will say that because a lot of the people I think I've encountered with are mostly people online. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start branching out and exploring new spaces.
Yeah, for sure. It is necessary, because you being high quality in an area that's consumed with people that are used to fast food, you're going to end up being a restaurant in order to stay in business. The people that don't decide to close down in order to stay in business, they're going to drop their standards to the customer base.
I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that I think part of it is not only quality people, because you can find successful people very easily. That's not always an indicator of quality, though, because you have a lot of successful people who don't want to be husbands, who don't want to be wives. So I think at this point is just finding people who are actually look not only high earner, because again, it's not even just about the money. It's literally about who wants to be a significant other in a committed relationship. Because I've met high earning people. I've met people that make more than me, but I can tell you, those are not the people who want to settle down. They're not the individuals that are looking to be somebody's husband. They're not. Some of them are enjoying, some of them have been married. I will say that some have been married, and now that they've been married, they don't want to be married again. And then you have some that just don't believe in the establishment of marriage. That's also another group of people.
Right.
And they know, like you say, most of these men know what they bring to the table. They know what they offer, and they know that they can get a umpteen amount of women that will give them attention and cater to their every need because of the resources they have. They're not looking to settle down.
Right.
So, and it's like, so then in that situation, you have to now choose. Do you pick somebody who is a high earner, but may explore options? Or do you pick somebody who may not earn as much, but wants that dynamic? And they may want it for different variety of reasons, because some of them want it too for stability, they damn self. You know what I'm saying? Some of them want it because they do want companionship. So it's then now trying to navigate, where do you go? Do you pick the high earner where you got to share him? Or do you pick the guy that has less, that may be with you, but if shit hit the fan, now you got to come out of your pocket as a woman paying half because you made more in the marriage? You see what I'm saying? It just seems like a really shitty hand. It really does. And I think men have the same struggle, because most men don't want to deal with a woman that's business minded or masculine. And you don't want to pick up a chick that makes less than you, because again, now if the marriage ends, which we know that might happen 40 to 50% of the time, you may have to come out of pocket, alimony, child support if a kid is involved. So now all of these things are now put in the mix of when you're trying to pick somebody, that just brought that number that he showed down even further. Because now if you ask for a prenup, how many people want to sign a prenup? How many people want to sign a postnup? All of those factors are now coming into play. And it's like, what do you do? How do you now navigate? Okay, he may not have as much as me, but he's nice. But how do I know 10 to 15 years from now, he may not want to do something different, but now I got to pay half, or I got to pay her half.
Well, that I totally understand you, and that may be where it's the idea of dating multiple people just so you could weed through the garbage, you know, because the first question I would think would be asked like, are you willing to sign a prenup? And if they say no. If they say no, you could stop the date right there. You could that could be okay. There's nothing else for us to discuss because I'm not going to invest time into you knowing that financially we're not thinking about securing each other's assets.
Correct. I think, and
then make sure legally we get out of the situation. No hard feelings. It didn't work out. Let's part ways, and legally everything's okay.
But that's if you're operating in an honest world, which we don't. So somebody says, I'm okay with signing a prenup, and you've now invested 2-3 years, and when the time comes for that paper to get signed and they don't want to sign.
No, well, that's it. You can make that part of the dating process. What the issue is, a lot of people try to wait until the last minute, wait until after being engaged or proposing to sign the paperwork. You could get that paperwork signed first before you even propose. There isn't even going to be a ring until you like get that. We get the legal side of it together.
Right. I just think it's very tricky navigating the world because I think people will play the long game and the short game. And I think people will say whatever they feel they have to say to get what it is they're looking for. So again, you can ask somebody date one, hey, what are you looking for? What are your interests? And it's like, oh yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Okay, yeah, me too. And then it's like,
but it's a different. People can play the long game, but to play the long game, you got to have long money, and you got to make them stand on business. So I would be like, oh, you okay with signing a prenup? Okay, I made an appointment with the lawyer. We could go by there
and do it now.
We could get all. I got. Hey, maybe I have one already made. How about I give you what I got? You talk to your lawyer about what's on the paperwork, and if you agree to what it says, and your lawyer say, "Okay, cool, we go from there." If not, it ain't a problem.
I'm never going to marry somebody if I don't have a prenup or a postnup.
Right.
Because, I'm not even living with you unless we are to that point of that. Unless we reach that level of engagement, I don't even want to live with you. I don't want to combine money. I don't want to combine resources because what I'm not going to do is help you pay half them bills so you can not have that extra money to go to pay to play.
That and as well, here's a misconception that people don't understand. A prenup isn't just for people that have a lot of money. It's also there's a process. In the process of getting a prenup, there is a thing called discovery. Mm-hmm. Now it's like basically learning what's on your partner, potential spouse's credit report, what debt do they have, how much do they have saved, the assets. So you know what you're dealing with. Because in a divorce, you can be responsible for your partner's debts.
So I think I'm gonna reconsider wanting to be a wife because I'm not.
It depends. And see, that's where you have to know where you are legally in situations before you just jump out there on your emotions.
Correct. because you can't people are not getting married now with just only love in the mind, especially
No,
because
not at all.
it's business. Like, yes, there's a love aspect to it, but it is business. You're combining your life with somebody else's, and you need to make sure that this is not a bad investment, period.
Now, I would think at a certain age, like if you're 19, 20, and you haven't established any financial issues, then and you get married, no, I don't see it
Right.
being necessary. But us
Now,
in our 30s and 40s is
yeah,
different. We have
absolutely.
established careers and lives, and we have houses, we have cars, we have assets.
Correct.
It's something totally different.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Definitely. Number, what was that? Not number one, but number, there you go. You have it up already. I see it.
Oh, okay. You see it? All right.
Yes. I
The
wanted to touch on
one
that
about relationships, or the one about
purpose of, yeah, the purpose of relationships.
okay, yeah. Let's see if you can hear the audio. I'm gonna play it.
All right.
Good. If the purpose of a relationship is for people to be healed, and healing can only occur when our wounds are revealed, then the ego confronts us with a terrible catch-22. If I don't show myself, there can be no growth. Without growth, there will ultimately be boredom, which is death for the relationship. But if I do reveal myself honestly, then I might appear unattractive and my partner will leave. The ego's narcissism has us waiting for the perfect person to appear. The Holy Spirit knows that the search for perfection in another is just a smokescreen that hides our need to develop the perfect within ourselves. And if there is a perfect person out there, which there isn't, would they date you? This is so good. If the purpose of
You on mute. You on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I agree with that 100%. And I don't believe, yes, he's coming from the Bible, but I also say that we're in a lot of times we're searching for that perfection when we're not perfect ourselves, or in that search for perfection, it will reveal that we have work that still needs to be done.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
he said at the end, like, if the perfect person existed, would they want to date me? If they want a pet project, they would.
Right.
They would, because I come with some shit. But but not but no, I don't think so. I think I can't speak for everybody because that's foolish. I don't think the search for perfect is, but I think what he spoke about is what I think a lot of people are looking for in a relationship that people are terrified to offer, which is the vulnerability, which is that space for somebody to see who they are. All of them, not just the good parts of them, but the not so nice parts, the messy parts that people like to hide and keep more to themselves. I think that part is why so many people now are not looking to rush into relationships, because when you live with somebody, you see everything. There's no way to kind of hide that dynamic. There's no way to fake the funk. It's in your face. And I don't think everybody's comfortable with being vulnerable. I don't think everybody's comfortable with acknowledging their traumas. I don't think everybody's comfortable with talking about certain things. I don't think a lot of people feel safe, especially men, because I hear it a lot from men. Men don't feel like they have safe spaces on earth. Like, they just don't.
Oh.
Well, even if you guys are like going through things or in need of support, a lot of people will never know around you guys because you don't want to feel judged. And I think that's unfortunate. You guys have to feel that way and go through that. But it is also what I think puts a damper on a lot of relationships, because I've experienced that. I think my last relationship ended simply because a difficult conversation needed to be had and the person simply just didn't want to have it. And it was, instead of having the conversation, is like, well, I'll just run. I'm bowing out. And it's like, okay, cool. And that's what they continuously do. They just meet new people. And then when that issue comes up at that point in the relationship, it's all right. Now I got to get another person. And they continue that. They just continue it. So it's difficult wanting to build a deep connection with people in a world where people are so afraid of showing all parts of themselves. And I think I have a little bit of that too. You know, I won't sit here and act like I don't have my own hesitations and reservations when it comes to people, because I know I do. I'm like that with friends. There's certain friends that I share almost anything with. And then there's certain people that I just don't for whatever reason, you know? But nonetheless, I think that what he definitely said was accurate.
I will say like this. I will speak from my personal view, and not all men, but I have a difficulty being vulnerable with women in general, and it's due to the fact that yes, men experience rejection, but the rejection you experience in approaching a woman and asking her out, you realize she doesn't know who you are, so the rejection doesn't hurt as bad.
Correct.
But the rejection of not living up to the expectations of a woman you're dating, that she knows you, and it's like, oh, I'm not a good person, or she thinks I'm not good enough, and that level of rejection is something a lot of men it's beyond hurt, like, because your value is based on, I don't know where that standard of value is based on being looked highly upon by your significant other, but it's there. And the moment that you don't live up to that expectation, regardless of where it come from, that's the difficulty of why there's no safe spaces for men, in my opinion. It's like in our heads, it's not like women are demanding us to be this way. I
No,
don't know,
we're not.
socialize.
Just been conditioned to think it.
Conditions to think it, but all top it comes with that being the protector provider. If I gotta be the protector provider, I gotta be on top of everything, and I
But
can't show a weakness. The moment I show vulnerability is equated to weakness.
but that's not it. And that's the thing that I really hate, that that's been pushed. Vulnerability is actually the strongest thing you can do as a person, period. To be able to open yourself up to somebody, that takes strength, because like you said, it can go either way when you open yourself up to somebody. So having the courage to do that, it should not be looked at by anybody as weakness. That should be looked at as strength, because you can actually acknowledge, hey, 9 times out of 10, I normally have it, but today I don't. That takes courage. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people who want real connection, who wants that type of relationship, will actually require that in order to build that gap with build that connection. Like, it's just, it allows them to understand what you're going through. It allows them to support you. You know what I'm saying? It allows them to, now that builds intimacy on a level outside of the bedroom, because it's like, oh my God, he trusts me with this part of him. And it's like, it's honestly one of those things where if there's real love involved, it's one of those where now as women, because I think we're naturally just, you know, that parental instinct or that nurturing instinct, it's like, he trusts me with a part of him, I want to guard that. Now, if you trust somebody and they don't do that, that's a different thing. And that might be their own issues. But if you're with somebody who it's like, oh, I trust you, you can tell me these things and it won't be shared with Tom, Dick, and Harry, and I won't throw it back at you when we upset about each other, because that happens too. You know, it does help not only the man, but the woman. And I think, I know for me, I want that, because I never intentionally want to use anything anybody tells me or trust me with against them, whether it's friend, whether it's a partner, anybody, you know what I'm saying? But oftentimes I do understand why people are hesitant, but it is fucking frustrating. It is frustrating.
Right. And I will say the disconnect for me is, like you say, okay, so to be vulnerable is to show strength. But when a man is feeling strong, he doesn't feel pain. But vulnerability has an opportunity to produce pain.
Hey, it does. But oh God, there's another video. I don't know if I sent it to you, but it's oh wait, actually no, I didn't send it to you because I was watching it on Bloomberg TV. I watched too much shit. So I'm going to jack his name up, but he was a famous baseball player. Not A-Rod. Is it A-Rod?
A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, yes.
Hold on, let me see. I think it's A-Rod. He used to
I
date
think
Jennifer. Yes, Alex
Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So he had a podcast. He has a podcast right now. I don't really know what the name of the podcast is. It was literally on Bloomberg TV and he was hosting an interview. But one of the gentlemen he was talking about the guy owns I guess a league, and he's trying to get the sport back into the Olympics. I guess it was removed at one point in time. Long story short, he talked about that. He talked about the masculine being able to embrace the vulnerable part of the soft masculine, basically, because there's layers of just being masculine. Yes, there's the provider. Yes, there's a protector, but there's also that vulnerable one who gives you the soft side, who loves their woman, who loves their kid, who, you know what I'm saying? There's still that part of men, so it's not just I gotta have everything in order. Sometimes it's also, babe, I'm overwhelmed and I need time, and this is what I'm dealing with, and letting her understand what that is and feel that, and not have the distance. And then it's just like a question mark of what the fuck is going on, because you're going through all of this by yourself, processing it all by yourself, but in the same token, living with someone else, and they're feeling all of what you're going through. They see the change in your behavior. They feel the distance, and they have no fucking clue what's going on. That doesn't help or strengthen the relationship. What would bring y'all together is trying to figure out a solution to the problem, because she might even have the answer. And that now, again, strengthens your bond, because now it shows you, I can depend on her. I can depend on him to come to me when he needs me. All of those things are important if you want to have a real solid relationship. But I don't think a lot of people about that life. It's scary.
Right. It's very scary. And I got a video that complements what we're discussing. Hold on. Let me play it. See if you can hear it.
The woman who you put your head on her shoulder and she comforts you will be the one.
And you know what sucks too? I had her and I lost her. I had her in that season of me just going with the flow. I knew where you was going, and like literally my eyes are getting red. And I said, I'm not going to cry on this man's show. I had her. She wanted it. I couldn't give it because I've never seen a vulnerable man before. I've never seen a man lead with vulnerability, lead with that level of like, I'm going to trust you with my weakness. I've always seen the great men in my life, my fathers, lead with strength, but never lead with, I'm going to rest my head on your shoulder. Because I did that one day accidentally on her, and she lifted up her hand and rubbed my head. And when she rubbed my head, I immediately jumped up. Because my manhood was like, no, she's supposed to be on yours. I was like, I've never done this. Let me get up. But then when I matured, when I evolved, I was like, I'm tired of always being strong.
Yes.
I'm tired of always having to act like I got it together and I have every single answer. And I broke down in therapy and realized I'm not that strong. I am strong, but I ain't that strong to where I could do it all by myself. The woman who you...
There it is.
I love that.
But there's some key notes from that video. Is the fact that, for one, he never experienced the man leading with vulnerability. And
I'm sure
that could be a question that ladies ask on a date.
It's not, we can't though. We don't have so I'm sorry, but our Black men never had the luxury to do that. So that's why it makes sense to me of why he never saw that, because you think about historically what we went through as a people in this country. When the fuck did Black men have an opportunity to lead with vulnerability? At what part of history were they able to ever lead with vulnerability? They've always had to perform via strength. Oh, I got this, put on the poker face, can't tell anybody how I'm feeling. They've had to live that way for generation after generation after generation after generation. Maybe the generations now who are growing up in the gentle parenting era will be able to do that, because now they're, one, probably seeing it a lot more. Two, they're now given the space to express themselves. Because I do it here with my son. Like, I never want him to be that clam up kid, but of course he still doesn't tell me everything. I already know when his mood changes, though, because I know what's wrong with him. But I give him the space to talk about it. But of course he still keeps things to himself. But then there's times when he does actually share. But I think we never had that luxury. And if you're dating Black men, unfortunately, we know they don't have that luxury. They've never been given that space to where they can say, I can breathe, I can relax, they've never had it. They've been in survival mode for generation after generation after generation. But what I loved about his conversation is it also makes me reflect on what we now call the masculine women too. And when he said, like, you know, they don't want to be strong all the time. A lot of women now too feel the same way. No one wants to do it alone. No one wants to feel like they have to do it alone. But because of whatever their life circumstances is and their path was, they had to. You know, I think we need to create more safe spaces within our community. I think we need to stop looking at men complaining about their job or being frustrated about their day-to-day as being weak. I think we need to stop holding people being honest against them. And I think if people were to do that less, and there were less judgment when they did it, maybe people will feel more comfortable. But it's just like, now you're scared to share parts of yourself because you piss somebody off. Next thing you know, your conversation and everything you done shared with this person is now a screenshot. You know what I'm saying? And right. I get the fear for men. I do. I really and truly do. It's just, it's fucked up because you have people that want to create those spaces for people that are not even allowed to do that because they're just not, they're afraid to receive it, or they don't trust when they receive it.
Well, this is where the transparency has to be rewarded. This is where women change the landscape of the dating realm. If you want you desire higher quality men, and right now the notion is men need to step up. But in the areas that women are requiring men to step up, it requires that vulnerability, which they cannot do on their own because.
So how do you do that? Because you can't force somebody to talk about the problems.
No, you can't. Well,
you can only offer it, but that does not always mean that people are going to accept it and take it. Because like he said, she was willing, she was open to it. It wasn't a dynamic of where she shot him down and said, you acting like a bitch. She ain't call that man sassy. She was willing and open to receiving whatever it was he needed to let out. And I've seen it. I have a really close friend of mine's, Butter, that's in Brooklyn, guy friend that I've known for years. And whenever I go through hell in this world, he's always been in my corner. If he's going through hell, I would never know about it.
Right.
I would never know about it. Like, I can call him and ask him, yo, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? Just checking in on you. I'll never know that he just went through 1,000,001 things in that week, because his attitude is just like, if I talk about it, what is that going to do? If I let it out, what is that really going to do? And that's the mentality that I know a lot of men to have.
But see, that's where we have to explain that talking about it, letting it out, gives you the practice of communicating what's in your mind and what's in your heart.
Yeah,
and
because holding it in
we lack the practice, and that's why it's difficult to do. It's like you with your friends, you're able to talk freely, but we don't realize how important it is, because that level of free communication, we take it for granted, because we assume if we get in an actual relationship, we will still be able to have that same level of free communication. Whereas what we don't take into factor is that we feel as though more is at stake because we love that person or we are romantically interested in that person. And it shouldn't be that way. We should feel the same way about our friendship communication with our romantic interest communication. And if there's an issue with our spouse or the person we're dating, if there's an issue in the communication and y'all just don't agree, then you just got to chalk it up that wasn't the person for you. And a lot of people don't want to do that because of the resources invested into that person to get to that point. They like, I invested that time, I invested that money into this person. I really don't want to let this go. And it's like we're holding on to their life to something that ain't even for us just because it's like
to have.
Yeah, it's like we bought pizza that was the wrong type, but we still going to eat it anyway. We ordered a pepperoni pizza. We got a Hawaiian pizza with ham and pineapples, but that's not what we ordered.
Right.
And who put pineapples?
Because you don't want to take it back to the store to return it to get what you really want.
Exactly. We not taking the store too far. The store too far. They already got my money. We're gonna try to eat this pizza that we don't want and we don't like.
And I think, but that's why I feel like it's and this is why I've always said, I think it's important to have the friendship dynamic or the friendship foundation when dealing with somebody. And as far as relationships go, I think the best people to be in relationships with are people that you are friends with, people that you are able to be comfortable, vulnerable with, and not feel judgment. The friend that makes you feel safe. Because you should feel safe within your relationship. You should never feel like you're walking on eggshells to be with somebody. Never. You should be able to be your 100 authentic self with said person and not feel judgment. Because if you feel judgment, why the fuck are you with that person? That person doesn't like you. They just like the idea of you at that point.
Well, let me stop you right here because we got our first comment on the stream. So we moving up in the world. People are viewing. We got 3 viewers. We got Mr. Bellinger saying 100. So I guess we talking good talk. So I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate everyone that's watching right now. Yo, we starting out. This the humble beginners. You know, if the sound quality isn't that great, if the video quality isn't that great, understand we doing this on a shoestring budget. Hey, we got 2 comments. Gia Gray saying good stuff. Oh my goodness, we got our second comment. I'm getting excited. It feels like my birthday.
I'm practicing my Emmy speech because I want to thank the little people.
Oh my goodness. We got people in the building. So I want to thank you too as well for coming through and checking out video. But I want to also continue with the last statement that you had about walking on eggshells. Yeah. And this is something I'm guilty of doing. I'm guilty of walking on eggshells, and I know I realize that it's due to my childhood.
All of this go through.
Yeah, it's because I was raised in the house of, you know, kids should be seen, not heard.
Oh, I heard that my entire life. It's why I'm like now.
So for me, it was a situation where I had to be able to keep the peace in the house, so to avoid getting slapped up against the head. So
understood. It was the rebel who challenged all of the
people. I was never a rebel. I was never a rebel. Oh, okay, we got Big A wanting to join the conversation. Let's bring her up.
Hey, welcome in,
Big
Big A.
A. Welcome. You on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was definitely not trying to join the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I was just clicking the link.
Oh, the link is on the conversation.
Oh,
my bad.
No, before you go, nothing to add because we could drop you down or.
Yeah, you can just drop me down. I was just clicking the link to get in.
Oh,
that's all I was doing.
Let me see
Thanks for
how I can
coming.
do it.
She said no.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
Hey, I apologize if this removes you from the stream. I'm hitting the button. I'm not sure if it just dropped you down.
It should.
Okay, it dropped it down. All right.
Yeah, it's just to remove from the stage. But yeah.
All right.
I think
say something because you're not on mute. You may still be able to talk.
Me?
No, Big A.
No, she's not on it anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we made it to almost another hour.
Yes, we're almost to another hour. But yeah, this is probably what separates the people. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a person being healed, but the awareness that they have triggers that cause them to walk on eggshells.
It does.
Like, I don't think I'm fully to the place to where I cannot do it, but I am now at a place where I can communicate that, hey, I feel like this is going to make me walk on eggshells, or this is going to, I really can't express what I really think because it may not come out the right way.
Right. And I think that's not I think the awareness is a big part of it, because I think just knowing what your triggers are is a big help, especially for the person you're dealing with. Because if you know your triggers and you know how to identify what that is, and like you said, you can communicate when you feel that way, that will allow the person to show up in the way, once again, the way you need them to. Because say if it's you walking on eggshells, but it has nothing to do with your significant other, you might have a significant other that be like, fuck that shit, we not doing it, you don't want to do it, we don't want to do it. And that may help you feel more content in your decision of, oh well, I don't have to do it if I don't want to. And I think that's why being able to openly communicate with the person that you're with is crucial, because I think you don't got to be vulnerable with the world. I tell everybody, fuck the world, but the person you want to be with, the person you lay your head with, that should be the person that gets all of that from you.
Right.
So
and that also, you could probably ask questions about how they handle situations at work to see their disposition, because the people that don't speak up at work won't speak up in a relationship. I don't see why that would be the case. And Mr. Bellinger has a good point about needing to be friends first. I think this is something that the internet, social media took away from us, because before social media, we would have community groups via church or social clubs or sporting teams, where people could come together without the actual premise of we're going to date. You could just come together and get to know people. Like today, in today's era, it's like, before I know you, I gotta already be dating you. Like, how about you come over, not come over to the house, but how about you have friends and you go into a particular event? How about we meet at an event and just see if we vibe each other without the actual idea of this is going to lead to a relationship? Because for the most part, I find it that we're going on dates and be like, to figure out if we like someone. How about we gotta devise another way for us to figure out if we like someone before going on dates. You're muted.
Sorry, my son was making a bunch of noise, so I was just making sure. But no, I think, and this is why I've always stressed, for me, I prefer to date people that I was able to now get to know as an individual, because I need to know if I like who you are as just a person, period.
Right.
And I also want to see how you interact with other people, because that tells me how you will interact with me. I am terrified of people pleasers, because those are the people that would secretly hate something and won't tell you about it. And then what they do is they'll hold it in, they'll hold it in, they'll hold it in until the resentment builds up. And then when it comes out explosive. Whereas I would rather somebody who's okay with having the uncomfortable conversation before it gets to that point of, I didn't really like when you said such and such to me. It made me feel X, Y, and Z. Cool. Now this person knows that this is a trigger for you. So now they know how to adjust the way they interact with you. But I've said all of this stuff.
Right.
Countless
And I will say I may be a people pleaser, but I don't think I have the explosive nature. I have found a way to just block people or eliminate them from my life.
But when you
without-
block them, you don't, and this is the thing. When
you're not facing the situation. You're not facing.
You're just finding another person who's going to come in and probably do the same thing. But now if you acknowledge it and address it, and then they respond in a way that doesn't align with you, now you could block their ass, which is what I fucking do. But I at least give people the opportunity to prove me wrong. So not 1,000,001 opportunities. You get one. So basically it's one of those situations where I'll tell you like, hey, I'm not comfortable with somebody talking to me X, Y, and Z. If you can't acknowledge that, or you dismiss it, or you make it seem like it's not that fucking deep, you don't have to worry about me talking to you again, because now you've already showed me how you handle issues. Now you already show me where I stand. Now you are introduced to my block list, but I'm not going to block you like I used to do beforehand, because now you are completely unaware of what the fuck happened. You don't know why you're on my block list. You don't know why I stopped talking to you. And now they go into the victim mode. Oh, because this person was that. They don't have any accountability in that sense either. You take away their accountability when you don't give them an opportunity to acknowledge what the fuck they did. So we hit the hour though.
Yeah, we did. And we have another guest that popped up on the screen. Let me bring him up stage. See if we have any remarks. Mr.
Welcome
Billinger.
In,
Maurice. How you doing?
Can I eat up here?
Yeah, you can eat. Just mute yourself if you.
Can y'all hear me now?
I can hear you. Loud and clear.
Y'all bringing up some good topics. I'm liking what I'm hearing. I'm definitely liking what I'm hearing.
I appreciate that.
So what I'm gathering as far as, because I hopped on with, I guess about 10 minutes ago, you guys are still talking about trying to be able to navigate amongst a friendship and a relationship, but trying to make sure you guys are comfortable enough to have those tough conversations.
Yeah, the topic was vulnerability and how being vulnerable is difficult for a man, because we rarely get to see it. For as a black man, you rarely get to see a man operate or leading with vulnerability or being able to live in his truth. So we were talking and how that comes into play into relationships, and how it makes having a relationship difficult because men refuse to be vulnerable. And it's probably both sides, but it's more so men, because we want to keep cool, be the protector, provider, and have everything under control. So it's like prevents us from expressing our true feelings or dissatisfaction on things a lot of times.
I kind of feel like, I guess in my opinion, men only want to be vulnerable when we have a secure woman. No sooner than that, because if you're vulnerable to somebody you're not committed to, they're definitely going to try to use it to your disadvantage.
All right. We got another person pop back on.
Well,
Let's
the
see
only-
if she.
I have a response for
You can go ahead.
the only response I have for that is like, if you can't show vulnerability in the dating phase, how would she know that you know how to show it later on? You know, it's kind of one of those things where women be like, oh, I'll be submissive when I find a submissive man. No, it has to be something you do on your own. You know, if you're a submissive woman, you should be submissive no matter what the man does. You know what I'm saying? You should be vulnerable no matter what the other person does. The vulnerability is a way for not only for you to express yourself, but for you to also realize who you're dealing with. Because if you wait till you in a serious relationship with somebody, say you were dating them for like a year. Jesus, why I gotta be on the big screen?
Oh. I was trying to give you a shine. You was cooking it up. You was cooking it up. I was trying to give you a shine.
But no, I was saying, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you say you dated somebody for a year, you are doing a disservice to yourself, because now you've wasted, say you do it a year after dealing with the person and dating. Now y'all are serious and you finally open up a year later and you learn that she does not have the emotional capacity to deal with you in that space. You've now wasted a year of your life with somebody who's not going to be able to show up for you in the way you need them to. So that's why it's like, you should be able to be vulnerable, be yourself with people unapologetically, and allow them to show you who the fuck they are when you do so. Fuck ego. Oh, sorry.
No, you're definitely.
I'm being recorded.
You're making valid points. I guess once again, coming from a guy's perspective, it's kind of hard to be vulnerable when vulnerability doesn't feel secure. I feel like women have more security and vulnerability than men.
That is a false narrative. You know why it is? Because
I'll tell you why I believe that, though. I'm sorry.
No, I get it. I get it. The only reason why I say that's oh shit. Sorry. God damn. Should we do a segment for bloopers? Because I feel like I'm gonna have a lot. The only reason why I say it's not true, because you think about, if a vulnerable woman is talking to an emotionally unavailable man, which we see a lot of it, since y'all don't like being vulnerable or having difficult conversations, it's very hard for us to receive that support. Because I think, again, y'all know me, we're not strangers. I feel like that's been the aspect that I find to be lacking in relationships now, or the people I've encountered. They're good when you want to have fun, when you want to do things, but they're not good when you're not having a good day, or when your anxiety is going through the roof and you need somebody to just kind of talk you down or talk you off the ledge. Not literally off the ledge, but you know what I'm saying? Like that person that can offer the comfort. It takes vulnerability for you to show up for somebody. And a lot of the times that people who don't show up for you emotionally are people that can't even emotionally show up for themselves. So it takes you to be that in order to get it. You get what I'm saying?
That makes sense. I guess where I'm coming from is from a standpoint, if you talk to a woman and she's vulnerable versus talking to a man and he's vulnerable, which one do you think will have the support from that vulnerability a lot quicker? And
I don't think it's a thing about who would get the support, because hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. God damn it. Why are we doing this live?
Do we need to come off?
No, I'm only saying that.
Be right back. I need to move my car.
I feel like I'm supposed to live.
Kenneth went to go move his car. That's what he just put in the chat.
Oh, no worries. But no, I think women have created that environment. Like, you got to think about me and my friends. You know, I've been emotionally supporting my friends since I've known them. You get what I'm saying? So being able to be vulnerable with them, it's because we've established that relationship. You have to establish the relationship, and you can't depend on the other person to necessarily do that, because there's no way for us to provide that to you. There's no way for us to say, to make you feel secure enough to share. You have to just share and see what happens. You know, so it's like, if you, do you want to come? Oh, so it's like, I can talk to Drea, I could talk to Chrissy, I can talk to these people when it comes to something that's bothering me. But that's because we've already established that's what we offer to each other. That's the relationship we have manifested. That is the relationship we've created. I can be vulnerable with Drea because Drea has already shown me that I can be safe with her, and vice versa. So it's not far-fetched for me to feel certain type of way. But even if me and Drea, which I think early on, there was something she did, and I felt some type of way about it. She didn't hit me with the fuck out of here, I didn't mean that shit, are you stupid? No, she acknowledged she did something, even though it wasn't her intention. She still was able to apologize on it. We move forward. So it's like creating those dynamics in your relationship. And that was a telltale sign for me to realize I can fuck with her on another level, because it's like, oh shit, she's not above apologizing, and neither the fuck am I. This is the type of person I want in my life.
So what you're saying is kind of, you're making your point, but you're also proving my point, because I was still talking about men vulnerability versus women vulnerability. Now, woman to woman, you, Andrea, may have made herself feel vulnerable to you, and you accepted it and was able to talk it out with her. But coming from a male's perspective, to be vulnerable to a woman, it's usually not that easy. Like, I can say, me growing up, I haven't been too vulnerable around too many women, and the ones that I have, it's like, of course, one being the mother of my child, I didn't get the best reaction towards the vulnerability.
I get it. I fully get it.
So I just say that to say that, when a male's vulnerable, it's definitely a lot tougher, because it's we want to know that when we're being vulnerable, we're actually being understood, and there's somebody there that's going to listen to us in a way that's adding value to what we're being vulnerable about. We don't want it used against us. Mine was used against me, and I guess in that retrospect, like, I have a guard up now, because I don't want anybody to use it against me ever again. Right.
But everybody won't use it against you. And that's what I think you have to try to remind yourself with that. Damn it. Kenneth, we will have bloopers. I'm going to just let you know, when you left, I did some dumb shit a few times. So,
well, hey, it's in the internet. It's going to be there forever. I don't do editing. So, lover of utopias, do you have anything to add?
Yeesh, put me on the spot.
Live on YouTube.
Goodness. I was just chilling in the corner over here. I was just gonna say to Alex, but I think some conditioning for not being able to be vulnerable is indoctrinated anyway, because y'all are taught not to express yourselves. Y'all are taught you can't cry from youth. Don't be a sissy. Don't do this. So I think in certain levels, a lot of men have difficulty expressing their feelings anyway. So you don't know if the person's gonna be receptive. You don't know if they're gonna to make a mockery of you trying to confide in them, because I don't think you guys. Well, I don't think you guys typically do it on a consistent basis anyway. So it's already like you have to step out of your comfort zone to just even be vulnerable, because y'all are taught not to be. So what does it look like for you when you're doing this? What is it that you would like a woman to say, or how to perceive or receive what you're saying? And in communication, you might feel you're being vulnerable, but do you think the way you said things or the way you conveyed it to that person, communication that they receive it correctly? It's just a lot of aspects to it, I think.
I can understand that. I guess, when I'm being vulnerable, I definitely want to make sure, first and foremost, that the person's able to be receptive of what I'm saying. I don't, like I said, I don't pour my vulnerability out to just anybody or any person that is just available. No, because like you said, not everybody's able to receive and understand that. However, I will say, when I'm vulnerable, to those who can hear me, I'm hoping that they can not necessarily give me any advice, but just make me feel comfortable enough to hear what I'm saying. And like I said, often enough, I feel like I don't get that. I don't get people that are comfortable hearing me.
Yeah, I was asking, I don't know if you saw it or if y'all would even see it, but I'm curious because I know like women, we definitely have it amongst our friends. Do men even have that space among men?
Vulnerability.
That's a great question.
Oh,
You guys,
space.
do you
Um,
guys have vulnerability with your guy friends?
yes, I do, and I definitely try to create that space with the two best friends that I have in my life. Like they've done a lot to help me keep pushing. So I know I have it with them. In terms of other guys, I just like guys that I've grown, I guess, friendships with within the past couple of years. I can't say that yet because I guess I haven't had the time to just talk to them one on one to see what's going on. But I'm the type of person, I'm open. So if anybody wants to talk to me, be vulnerable with me, I'm always going to see what I can do to add value and see how I can help.
Yeah. And I think I follow that sentiment as well with my friends. Like I think I've seen it enough times with people growing up not having that, and I think that's something that's very important with people I care about. You should be able to have a place to release, to be able to complain freely and not feel anything about it after you do.
What about you, Kenneth?
I would say I don't have that circle of friends or space, circle of friends or family to be vulnerable with because for the most part I feel like there's a level of judgment that I've always had to deal with, whether it's real or not. And it's funny, like the new trend now is like we listen and we don't judge. Like that has never been what I thought about anyone. Like I feel judged 100% of the time. And like as I'm getting older, I'm slowly shedding that stigma of like everyone's judging you or everyone's paying attention to everything you do to where to be judged. But it's difficult because I know ultimately you have to live your life and no one else is going to live it for you. But you also, I think I've been consumed with not being a failure for so long that even the success that I have had, I'm not successful enough. So there is like no one ever put a line in the sand or like once you get to this point, you good. So I'm always trying to be better. And
Yeah.
with that comes that judgment that I'm not good enough because I'm always trying to be better. Because in my mind, if you're good enough, we no longer have work to do. But
Correct.
in life, we always have work to do. So
Okay.
when are you truly good enough? That's
Um, now,
the cycle of thought that I have difficulty with.
So Ken,
yeah.
if I have a question for you, because you were just saying that you didn't really have the space to be vulnerable amongst guys. So my question to you is, did you have any friends or more specific best friends growing up, or best friends in your life now, and what's your relationship like between you and them now?
I had a best friend growing up and from I believe middle school up until high school, but in high school I joined the military, so that pretty much killed our friendship. And like we don't really have a I believe like I wouldn't even say we have a friendship now. Like we follow each other on Instagram. So it's like, and like whenever he posts something, I comment on it and I promote whatever because he's a musician. So I promote whenever he puts something up, I put it out there. Like I support and share, like and share. But conversations, deep conversations, yeah, that no longer exists. And so, like, I just had one of my friends from the military. Like, I haven't seen him in like maybe 10 years. He came up to the DC area for a funeral, and we spent the afternoon together and catching up. And even with that friendship, we've known each other. We were in the military, so over 20 years of knowing each other, 25 because I got out of military in 2000. So we've known each other for at least 25 years strong. And like, I still have an issue with just communicating problems to people. And I don't know why it's difficult, because I know that like it may not be a problem with him and he will still be my friend, but that's just something I deal with. Like, I'd rather keep the peace, keep everything cool, you know.
I have a follow-up question for both of you. It doesn't matter who wants to go first, but the question is, when it comes to the vulnerability that you guys are being able to express between, or when it comes to the vulnerability that you're trying to express, do you feel like it's easy for you to communicate that to a woman or a male? Yeah, male or woman. Man,
I'm gonna be vulnerable regardless. What you do with that information is entirely up to you.
I mean, but sometimes I can say, for example, like I said, I have my two male best friends who I know I can be vulnerable to. The person I'm most vulnerable to through anything is my sister. She's been my ride or die. I know I can be completely vulnerable to her. She's always going to hear me no matter what. She doesn't judge. And I just felt like, she's the leading factor. But when it comes to being vulnerable from male to another male, like Kenneth was saying, sometimes it's just not as easy.
Yeah, I mentioned him actually. I have a guy friend named Butter who's been in my life, oh my gosh, for years, definitely over a decade. I have no problem with being vulnerable with him, and that man will let me cry on his shoulder. He will show up for me, but like I told Kenneth, that man could be going through hell in his life and I would never know anything about it, because for him, it's hard for him to be that way with anyone. I also have my female best friend who literally knows every goddamn thing, all my all my shortcomings, all my good things, but what's made her have the longevity that we've had, because I've known her since I was 10, so we got 20 years on our belt. She's always created that safe space. She's never made me feel any type of way, even if she didn't agree with my decision. She never called me out my name about it. She'll tell me I'm wrong, but she never made me feel like shit when doing it. And I think that's something I did not have growing up. I think sharing certain things there was always the judgment. Definitely grew up West Indian families, they don't play that shit. They judge, and they believe firmly in tough love. They're not gentle parenting anybody. They believe that raising you tough will allow you to be tough for the world. So when anything gets tossed your way, it doesn't affect you. There's a good thing about that and there's a bad thing about it. But I had to do my own work with therapy and learning the importance of allowing people to show up for you. And that's kind of the same thing I ended up saying earlier. You have to allow people to show you who they are. And the only way to do that is by doing it. It don't always feel good. And sometimes you regret opening up yourself to people like that. But you have to also remember that everyone is not the same. Everybody's not going to treat you the same. Everyone is not going to violate you the way somebody else did in the past. And you shouldn't think that, because it keeps you stuck there. It honestly does. And you'll never be able to move forward. Meanwhile, the person that hurt you then moved on to husband number 3 and wife number 2, and you still stuck in some shit that happened back then. But yeah. So I don't know. I've never had I'm trying to think in relationships, definitely. I think in relationships, I'm trying to think, because even in my worst relationship, I think I still got emotional support to an extent. Like when I first found out I had anxiety, I had an ex that went through that whole shit with me. And they actually showed up. You know, they were able to help me, and then it was finally to the point where it was like, no, you have to get a better handle on it. And I had to learn how to take care of it myself, because at one point I would call him every time I had a panic attack. I would call him every single time I had a panic attack, and I would have to have him help me calm down from the panic attack. And it's like, if you don't learn how to do that for yourself, then you become dependent on this person. So I think in that sense, I had support with that. You know, I was able to be vulnerable about my anxiety and my panic attacks and all of that other stuff. And they allowed me the space to do it, where I didn't feel judged or anything. So
Okay, so Kenneth, what about you? Do you feel like you've had the space to be vulnerable amongst women more so than men, or has there been a difference or anything?
I believe it definitely has been easier to be vulnerable with women because they usually initiate conversations that lend itself to being vulnerable, like exploring your thoughts. Like
yeah.
for my male friends, we tend to keep things surface level unless there is a death in the family or something like that, or they going through something. But we supportive. But for the most part, the conversations we don't start conversations that go there, and like
Yeah,
someone
I
has to
get you. I
start it.
get you. That makes sense because most guys, when we're as men, when we're talking amongst each other, we're not talking about our vulnerability. We're talking more so about, I don't know, every other
Activities,
thing. Yeah, every other thing but the vulnerable part. So I understand that.
right? And it's not to say that uh I wouldn't be vulnerable. Like I would hope that, with the friends that I've had for 10, 20 years, that I would tell them what I'm thinking, but I don't I don't ever initiate things like that. So that's where it's difficult.
Okay.
Like being the one to initiate it. Now, yeah, I'm definitely guilty of not initiating those conversations.
Okay. But do you feel like you're a safe? I mean, this is just a real question. Do you feel like you're a safe space for guys to come to in terms of vulnerability? Do you feel like you have not necessarily the ability to help them, but do you feel like you have the capacity to even possibly guide them the right way? Let's say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I've had guys come to me in my DMs and like they got problems or situations, and I'll talk them through it, and I'll tell them like if I was in a similar scenario, I'll explain how I handled the scenario and my outcome. That way, if they handle it the same way, they'll know what to expect. At least have an idea of the outcome. So yeah, I'm open for that. That's something that I feel as though since I didn't grow up with a father, like having an older male that I could just go to was something I always desired. And the ones that I did have in my life, they're no longer living. So it's like it's I now have to take on that role in order to pat. It's like
It's been passed
pass it
down to you.
forward. Yeah, pass it forward.
hmm
Okay, appreciate that.
yeah, I
Yeah,
harass Kenneth whenever I need him, when I need some advice.
Hey, listen,
right,
I get it. I get it. I've had a couple of talks with Kenneth before, and
right.
like I can say, you're definitely one of the people that I've recently met that I know I feel comfortable having a serious conversation with because you're not gonna you don't how can I say this? I don't know. You're direct in terms of your approach. You don't try to feed me any BS. And at the end of the day, what I like most about you, Kenneth, is you do your research. You do your research. So it's like
Right.
You ain't gonna let nobody say nothing to you that don't make no sense without you going to do your research first. And then once you do your research, then you like, all right, do I need to continue having a conversation with this person or do I need to just let them go? So I like that about you, sir. You always be on your P's and Q's with your research.
Right. Hey, don't start no arguments you can't win. That's my motto. And so that's where I'm at with it right now. Let's see. She got a background.
Me?
No, I'm looking. I see Lovers of Utopias. She sees up with her background. Want to know, is she coming up? Want to come up, or is she working?
Oh, I see her. I see her now. Okay, I'm done because I'm just cooking her food. But yeah, I love the talk. It's a good topic.
Yeah, this is our longest stream.
Yeah, my behind.
Hour and 30 minutes. Episode 3. We got our first like. We got our first two comments. So hey, it's growth. We calling it growth. We got Alex D in here.
I'm here to support. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Right.
Like I said, here to support.
All right. Thank you for showing up.
Oh, she said she got on her PC.
Okay, let's bring her up. Hey.
Hey.
You have to unmute yourself. Let me bring Alex back.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. You're on mute. I guess we can't hear you there, Lovers of Utopias.
All right, now.
All right.
Enough clips for this week.
Right. We got more than enough. We
did good.
All right. Yeah.
We just heard you for a split second.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop everybody down because
Gonna close it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna just turn the stream off. They can still stay in the studio. Yeah.
I just want to say I want to thank you, little people.
I just want to thank everybody that watched the conversation. Hopefully, the conversation was beneficial to you and the men and ladies in your life. And maybe the conversation will allow you to spark discussions amongst your friends and significant others and about vulnerability and about being able to speak freely. But until next time, this is Sophisticated Immaturity, and we are out.